and welcome to Art. Happy Monday. So I hope that you had some time to go over your support box over here. Remember, the support box has lots of resources in it to help you be successful at this topic. So go in there. There's some cute motivational ones too, which you know I like to put in there. And one of the most important things that I do have in here is that video that will actually help us on our challenge question. So remember, we have our challenge goals, and our challenge goals are always, how do we apply what we learn in art to our everyday life? And today's topic is a perfect topic to apply to real life, because we're going to talk about criticism, and we all experience criticism in one way or another. Either we're doing it or we're the victims of it. But I want you to start changing your perspective towards the criticism. And one of the things, the fabulous things about art is art criticism has an etiquette to it that should be applied to all criticism. So let's get started, and you will see how this works. So take some time and look at that video. It's really quick. And also, if you didn't get a chance to do it and you don't have a chance to do it in this lesson, or while you're with me, then remember that you can always get your art room in your announcements, and you click on the support box and you'll get it. So remember, you always have access to it at all times, and all the past ones too. And if you can't find them, you know, you can reach out to me by clicking on me, my emoji, and you will get my email, and you can talk to me directly. So in art today, we're going to talk about art criticism. So the learning objectives really it's based on you learning how to do art criticism. So you're going to be able to describe the 4 steps of art criticism, and you're going to be able to look at and discuss your peers' artwork. So that's why I told you to bring your artwork. So we're starting to really critique our artwork, okay? Now, as always, remember to get involved and participate. That actually gives you those participation points as well. Be nice and respectful to your classmates, and I know that you are. You're fabulous class. You're awesome to each other, and you're very supportive. But also stay on topic, and you know that I can squirrel. So Elijah, thank you for keeping me on the right path. So also today, very important that we are going to start applying some of those elements that we talked about. So the art elements that we talked about, how to do them, now you're going to start seeing how to apply them in critiquing, and how to look at art, because you're going to look for those elements. And then also the principles of art. How did the artist use those elements to create that principle of movement, or interest, whatever it is? You're going to see that, and we'll go over those again too, very quickly before I make you do them. And then so let's get started now. The 4 steps of art criticism are description, analysis, interpretation, and evaluation. I want you also to notice the arrows. So look at those arrows. They're building blocks, because you can't do an analysis of anything if you can't see what's in front of you. So you have to actually look at it, and you have to take an in-depth look. It can't just be what's necessarily on the surface. You want to look deeper. So I'm going to kind of challenge you right now with the screen that you see in front of you. You got an image there. This is a perfect time to use the description skills. So let's start. So in your chat, I want you to name some of the things that you actually see in here. Start describing what you see, and you can just list it, or you can write it out however you want. But start chatting some of the things that you see in this image. So yes, Ariana, yes. Paintbrushes, yes. Everybody, Matthew, great. Levi, perfect. Yes. Yes, and for the title. Yes, you do see the title. And the splats of paint, exactly, and arrows. Yes, yes, perfect. Okay, so now I'm going to take it a little bit deeper. So what about the paintbrushes do you notice? What stands out about them? I mean, what's unique about them? Yes, they're used. They're used. And how can you tell that they're used? Because you see the stained paint. Yes, you see stained blue. Exactly. Exactly. And you can see the blue in the crease of the metal on them. Yes. And yes, correct. The white paintbrush may not be used. However, look a little deeper. Look at the metal on it. It could mean that it's an old one. Maybe not that it's used, but it could mean that it's old, right? Yes. And the burlap, yes, perfect. Burlap behind it. There could be a meaning to that. There could be a reason why there's a burlap behind the palette. And then, yes, you see the blue paint on the palette. Perfect. You're actually looking and you're looking for stuff. You're really, really looking into it. So the actual definition and what you're actually supposed to be doing for description is objectively discuss the physical attributes you see in the artwork and then describe the contents, which we have already gone over that. You're good at, we've got this. You got the contents down and you actually started describing the contents. So that kind of goes into my next question, the physical attributes. So I'm going to challenge you again in your last discussion on the previous page. What were the physical attributes that you found about the paintbrushes? Yes, yes, they're used paintbrushes. Yes, exactly. So yes, so you got this. You're ready for this. So let's jump into the actual painting that we're going to be doing the 4 steps on today. Voila. Here's your painting. This painting was done in 1887 by William M. Harnett. So always, like I always say, this is why I always tell you to put your name on your artwork and the date. Because the date sometimes is significant because you got to kind of understand the tools that they had available at the time. Some of their own worldly perspectives at the time will help you kind of understand the meaning behind the image or the piece of art. So let's jump into this one. So very quickly, you can chat. What do you see? Start listing it out. Yes, you see a violin, perfect. And you see some books. Okay, so let's take it deeper. What about the books? Yes, they look old. They look messy. Exactly. So when you go into your breakout room, I want you to start doing the same thing. List them out and then actually explain that physical attribution that they offer to the work. Okay, that'll help us on our next step, which is analysis. So let's get ready to practice. Breakout time, and you know your teams, when you get in, just start working and I will jump in to help you as we go. So let's go. Okay, so this is the time when I actually, I'll take it back to that. So this is when I actually get to do some formative assessment in the breakouts because I can see where some of the learning gaps may be, where I didn't quite describe it perfectly enough, or they didn't have a chance to practice it enough, and we can come back. And when we do come back, we'll actually discuss some of the things that we found, that they found as a team. And I also strategically put the teams together with my high achievers and my actually low performing ones. And this helps because I have also noticed when I have discussed this with my students, a lot of my students prefer to answer questions from their peers. And I will also know my talkers because I get to know my students, and I know that my high-end students who are the talkers, who are my silent ones as well, and I try to set up the teams so that I have that support from their coming in from their peers so that they can work together and learn together. And then again, that's when I get the time to actually do a little bit of formative assessment and then address it in the active learning process when we come back together. And then we go into the next step, which is analysis. We go through the same thing. And then this is where we try to apply previous learned information, which is the elements of arts and the principles of design. And then we jump into the actual analysis and they actually do it. And then again, I get my moment for formative assessment during that time. And then they get to discuss and bring it back. And then when we're ready, we step into interpretation. And then that's the third step. And this is where we also start to talk about our opinions, but they must always have evidence. And this helps them in other disciplines as well, because always provide evidence behind your opinion, always provide evidence. And that's where they're learning how to do this. And then the last step is evaluation. And again, we go into our opinions and supporting our opinions with the evidence that we see. And then the value. Then when we talk about the value, it's pretty important that they understand that the value of the artwork and the value of the human being who actually did the artwork. And that's what kind of gives them the positive side of being critiqued and actually a little more sensitive to actual to talking about how people can improve, but really using those words and helping them learn how to not only not be as sensitive, because we're trying to keep it very objective, and then also apply this when they're critiquing other people's work as well. And in our overarching challenge goals is also. And then this is the funnest part that can actually last up to 30 minutes to an hour. I have limited my students to giving me only one piece of artwork that we can go over, and we have fun with it. And I encourage them to do multiple types of art. This is a cake, a black widow climbing on a hill or something, and then obviously pumpkins, and I think this one was a Halloween one. And then we jump into the review portion where the students actually get to write on the board, and they get to fill in the spaces. And this is not mine. I took this from my students, what my students have actually said in the past. So I don't misspell. I do, but I didn't for this one. These are student responses, and you can see how I can see where there's some gaps, and if somebody's not participating or plugging it in, and so on and so on. Again, active learning is really important to me here. And then this is where I get to bring up our challenge question. And again, it's how can we apply art criticism to everyday life? And this is where we really get to discuss this. And then I always thank them for joining and remind them that I'm here. They can click on here. Again, they can click on my emoji and get to my email. They can text me. I encourage that. And I always want them to know that I'm here to help them however they need. Now, and then the exit ticket, and I am going to click on this so that you can see my an example of this. And this is also a formative assessment that helps me fill in any of those gaps. Oops, I don't think you can see it. Sorry. Here we go. And then, so this is one of the resources. And then also I want to share some of the resources, like the videos that I share with them. This is one, and these are in our support box. So when they go in, they can actually see here, and I think I'm going to run out of time, but this is an
This
example.
week, I want to talk to you about something that's been weighing on my mind lately, and that's the issue of critique. If you spend any time on the internet, it's something you come across frequently. If you're the victim,
okay, and that's where that I can't show you anymore because I'm running out of time. Have a great day, and thank you so much for having me and this opportunity.